Hey VC, Steve here, FlipSideCT, and my last video I showed a record show from Bridgeport, Connecticut. A couple finds there, hopefully you could check it out. This one is another show. Hey, they're in style now, so gotta go hit it. My observation is still more people attending. Common albums are now about $5. Used to be $3, $4. Definitely up to $5, $6, $7, and that's interesting. Still can get some good buys, and hey, that's what we're all looking for. And I did get a couple here, and I'm just gonna jump in. I did have to take some notes because a few things I don't know off the top of my head. The first thing is this was in the punk section, and many of you know Tim Fowley, and he was a scumbag. He was a verbal, physical abuser, you know, especially with the women, and he was an a-hole. Bottom line, he did do a lot of contributions to music, of course, and especially the Runaways. And I'm not going into the Runaways much, but I am going to go into a band called Venus and the Razor Blades. So this is a band he put out, I guess this is what, the 77. So he did another calling and got introduced to this one, introduced to that one, you know, some strip club girl. Actually, there's 2 dudes in here and 3 girls. And he basically... He wanted sort of ABBA on punk rock and also give a sound of Kiss or Aerosmith, like with a Walt Disney charisma. So he put together this band, 2 guys, Stephen T's the blonde fellow, and the other 3, I don't even remember all their names, but they're all called, what you can imagine. But you can see the blonde is, you know, there's Cherry Curry, and the other one, Joan Jett. That's Ronnie Lee. She's a guitar. She actually wrote a song with Kim Fowley, and the Runaways played it. I Want to Be Where the Boys Are, and they actually play it on this album. So I got this just again for historic purposes. Because it is a wild period of time, you know, in Los Angeles and what was going on. So cheesy lyrics, you know, they have a little bit of a Kiss sound, guitar-wise, sounding a little, trying for Alice Cooper, but, you know, it's not even near that, but it's still decent.
Too late to go back home, standing in the streets, sweating in the heat. Too soon to be a star, pounding on the doors, sleeping on the floors. Big city ain't too pretty, big city's much too loud. Big city don't read.
Bad times at the grocery, think I'm gonna quit, 'cause I'm a working girl, working just for you. Yeah, I'm a working girl.
But it's just, again, cheesy lyrics here, you know, wild in the streets, barely alive. My mama always telling me stay inside. Burn down the school if I could, blow up the neighborhood. This is Punkorama. So you can imagine. So it tells a story here. You know, they had these casting calls too, a bunch of girls coming in to audition, and they're all playing Suffragette City. Diane Diamond, that was one of the names given to one of the girls. But anyway, you can look them up, and they're on Facebook. And anyway, so I found this real interesting. I did get this card, this Pistols card. This is from England, and this came out in the 80s. My guy Sean had a bunch of these. I mentioned this guy before. This is his second album, Greg Stackhouse Prevost. He's the lead singer from the Chesterfield Kings from Rochester, New York. And this is his second album, very similar to the other one. You're either going to love him or hate him. He's got this voice that sort of is continuous throughout the album. But I still like it. I like his little swagger, and of course the crunchy weaving guitars in here. Okay, so this band is a band I've been wanting to get. Actually, it's my first album. I had some other things on CDs, I have to say, but this is their third one, and the band is called The Only Ones. Now, they're labeled more new wave, not punk. They were in the punk environment in the 77 period. This album is their third one from 1980. I love these guys. The sound is great. They're really, really great musicians. One of them was the Spooky Tooth drummer. The other one was a bass player from another big band. Peter Parrott is the lead singer, and he's the brains. He's really a genius. However, he married Squeeze's bass player's sister, and still married to her after all the stuff. He has an album out which I really want to try to get. The band is called England's Glory. But his voice is why I love it, and why I hate popular music today, because his voice is just so unique. You listen to Echo and the Bunnymen, Psychedelic Furs, Joey Ramone, and you could pick out their voices, and his you could pick out.
Take me into your heart, protect me from myself. Take me into your heart, I never loved no one else. Take me into your heart, keep me safe from evil. You're caught out from the gutter, I couldn't hear the words you muttered. Then you discovered hell and paid the full price. Angel sent attention, desire couldn't melt you.
And they have one hit. I'm not going to go too much into this because I do have their, I did purchase a few other things in another video that I'll talk about, so I don't want to go too crazy. They're poppy, like I said, not punk. But that voice is great. He was born in South Camberwell in South London, and you could categorize it like Talking Heads television. Of course, not exactly, but in that category. The Only Ones. So I was vending also, I should say, at the show. I was helping my friend Ron sell some records, and he did well. So I got to stay for a while, and then I visited this one guy, and he says, these albums are 50% off. I didn't make the announcement yet, so I got to pick a few albums, and let me just pull those. Yeah. So this is one of them, Traffic's Mr. Fantasy. I don't know what this is. I don't know, stereo. So this was $5. I never heard this until I brought it home. This whole thing, and I don't have to tell you much about that. Yes Shows, 1980 live. Just again, the musicianship for Yes is just great. Again, this is why punk came about, because they had no way they were competing and going to play like these guys. But The Ritual, Gates of Delirium, listening to a live Steve Howe's guitar work, just awesome stuff. Jethro Tull Stand Up, needed that. So those were like $2.50 each. Chet Atkins, $1. I'm going to jump right here. And my other buddy, Mike, I Am the Blues, Willie Dixon. Those of you who don't know Willie, just look up some Zeppelin songs and you'll find Willie's name. Look up some Stone songs. Look them all up. All the blues guys that you know from England, and Willie's there. He was a bass player, and he doesn't have a fantastic voice. Still great. But the lyrics is just where he's at. My favorite blues artist, and I will be looking for more of his work, left my blues in San Francisco, Buddy Guy. His voice is just powerful. It reminds me of like Johnny Winter, just strong out there. He can do no wrong. Okay, so I visited my friend Mike's house when I was on vacation. I showed a video. He's a vendor also. And he had a lot of albums, and I only had a little money. So I had to pick up an essential, Buzzcocks' first album. So Buzzcocks, as you see from the introduction, Peter Shelley, Homo Sapien, was a single out somewhere in the early 80s. I loved the song. Of course, it was this club hit, but it was just really, really well done. So Peter Shelley, Devoto, D-O-V-O-T-O, was the other guy who formed the band. He put out an ad, and it said punk musician wanted. Peter Shelley saw it. He worked and collaborated. They started writing songs. Devoto is not on here. He's dedicated, though. He left the band because of just direction. He didn't want to go direction Buzzcocks were going. But 1975, they started forming the band. In 1976-ish, 77, 76. Something. All right, you know what? I got to look for it. I don't remember off the top of my head. 76 is when they really excelled. They were just touring. But Devoto left. He went on to form a band called Magazine. And some of you may have heard of it. I don't own any magazine, but they went on, and they actually made the first single, punk single, I believe. They had to scrounge up and get some of the extra money. They borrowed it, I think, from the father and one of their fathers, and they went on tour with the Clash and the Pistols. And very important, they're from Manchester. So Manchester, those of you know, home of so many really great bands. But when the Pistols played there in '76, they influenced these guys, Joy Division, the Factory Owner, and there's a bunch of others. Tony, I don't know. There's a bunch of others. So they wound up playing. The Lesser Free Hall? They wound up opening up for the Pistols a year later, which is ironic. So where they saw them, but good punky sounds. They were very singles oriented. They must have. I don't have too much other stuff about them, but did like Peter Shelley. And Peter Shelley wound up taking on the vocals as Devoto left, so that is really why they became really popular also with that sound. But really great band and very talented musicians, a lot of them.
Can you convince me? What everything I see just makes me feel you're pulling me down. And if it's true, this pathetic clown will keep hanging around. Let's if you don't mind.
Again, I don't know too much about them. they were older. They were about 27 years old when the Pistols were, whatever, 19, 17, 18, 19. So these guys were older. So I just wonder, I don't know, I haven't really talked to anybody about what it was like who lived through that period of time with them. Were they hated by the Pistol fans? Were they liked by but they toured with a lot of them. So, I mean, it had to be a good mix. But so I'm sort of thrown out the question. But the great thing about this is they brought in keyboards. And they were even compared to Doors-ish style. Not like that, but similar. Which was really unique for a punk sound. And they opened up to the Ramones. Did I say that? I don't know. So when the Ramones first came over to England, Pistols wanted the job. Malcolm wanted that opening Stranglers one out, which is really interesting. They're into sci-fi, but this is their first album.
I'm gonna make love to a water rat or two. We're the family. They'll be called the Survivors. Do you know why? 'Cause they're gonna survive. I'll see you in the sewer dome.
Hey, something I had to have because I don't have it, and this happened to be a mono version, a little split up, 1965 Aftermath. You know, has Painted Black on it, and needed that. There we go, got it. Whew. Yeah, so I have some Discogs purchases that are really, really cool things. I was really excited and still listening to these albums over and over that I'll show soon in the next video or 2 or 3. We also have another show that I have from Astoria, Queens. Some cool things. All right, hey everybody, keep the music going. Vinyl spinning, whatever you want to say.